Hi everybody, it's day 4 and I'm ready. Are you ready? Wait, Ron, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, come on out.
Good morning.
Well, that sweater tells a story, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I love it. I love the naughty and nice sleeves. Very cool. Just so you guys know, he should only have sleeves that say nice because he's the nicest guy you've ever known.
Thank you.
You're wonderful. All right, so we have 3 gifts open. We're on to day 4. You sure you're ready for this?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
So.
He's never sure for what I throw him into, for sure. All right, let's see here. See if I can find day 4. Ron. Oh, it wasn't very far down. Let's see what we got right here. I love the gold labels. And our cute little blocks with this paper is so darling. All right, let's see what's in here. Oh, I love this. I forgot about this. For day 4, you get a pattern and you get a panel. Now, if you follow me at all, and most of you do, you know I love tiny houses. I love tiny houses. So you get a panel with loads of tiny doors. Look at all your doors. Look at all these doors. So you have a little project here. Look at all these doors. You have way more doors than you need for this project. You're going to have to pick and choose, but I love to fussy cut my doors when I make little houses. And this way you can put little doors in every house and you get some kind of other fabric over here on the end that's like little roof fabric or whatever you want to do. But let me show you this project because this is so cool. Can you fold this back up and put it in the thing? You get the pattern, tells you how to make the project, but wait, look at this project. This is the happiest little project you've ever seen. Look at this. Do you love it?
Love it.
I love it. I love the little houses. So you are going to have to gather some of your scrap fabric that you think goes with the doors because we're just giving you the panel with the doors, but all this is going to be scraps from your scrap fabric. It's so fun. It's absolutely adorable. Cutest thing you ever did see. And one of the best things is somebody is going to walk you through this, how to make this. Now, I say somebody, you know, like it's just some random person. It's not. I have an elf, and my elf is Courtney, and Courtney's amazing, and she's going to walk you through this whole thing, and she's going to need these doors to do it. So I am just going to package this back up, and I am going to hand this off to Courtney. Courtney, here you go. See you for day 5.
Hi everybody, it's Courtney with Missouri Star Quilt Company. Today in your Jenny box, you got that adorable door panel, and then you also have some fabric printed on there that looks like it could be for a Christmas tree, and you also have some bark fabric for the trees. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make the little houses and then how to make each of the trees. One thing that I love about this project is you can make it Christmas, but you don't have to make it Christmas. You can make it any season you want. You can just make it neutral. You can make it big, you can make it small, do your own thing. So we're just going to have fun with it. Let's get started on the house block. Okay, for your house block, we're going to start with the roof. Okay, so I have my rectangle. Let me look. It's 2.5 by 4.5. And then you're going to have 2 2.5-inch squares. And that's going to make, that's your background fabric. So we're going to draw a diagonal line on the back side of each of your background square. Now I'm going to show you the line using a Sharpie. You don't want to use a Sharpie, that will not go away. So just use either a light pencil or whatever marking tool that you're comfortable with. Because we're going to be sewing on the line, so it's not necessarily going to be hidden or cut off later, okay? All right, there's a nice dark mark so you guys can see it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to lay this right sides together. And we're going to sew down the seam. I am going to use a little bit of a shorter stitch. Okay, and I also recommend when you're doing these, I know sometimes machines have a hard time going through this corner when you go to put your corner under the machine that it wants to eat it. So when I do flying geese or any kind of shape like this, I always start on this edge because you've got a nice flat edge there and your fabric won't feed into the hole, okay? So we're going to sew that. And I do have just a regular wide foot on here because right now I'm not worried about a 1/4 inch seam. I'm just following the line. Alrighty. Then we're going to press this open. Or not open, I guess. We're going to press this back. Let me get this panel off of here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And what I like to do is I press this before I trim it because I want to make sure that my stitching is okay and it matches up with my background rectangle. I know when you're doing a lot of these, it's kind of annoying because then you have to go back and fold it forward and then cut the seam allowance off. But I feel more comfortable doing it this way, but do it any way you want. Then we're going to trim off that corner there. Then if you go ahead and sew this, you'll have little half square triangles to make little pin cushions out of later. And I'm kind of obsessed with that, so I'm not throwing anything out. So now we're going to lay the second square on top. And I have that lined up, and I'm going to start at this corner and come down to the bottom. And a lot of times what I like to do sometimes with flying geese, I'll say that I like sewing just on the top side of my line because depending on what thread I'm using and what fabric, sometimes it gets a little thick and it doesn't want to meet up quite at the corners when I fold it over. So if you're finding that your corners, when you flip that back, your corners aren't lining up, try stitching a little bit on the high side of your line, just a thread or two, and that may solve your problem. Okay, so let's go to the machine again. I'm going to start at this top side again. We're going to press this back. Ooh, that lines up just nice. And if you sewed this all right, let's get another half square triangle for later. You should have a nice 1/4 inch right at the top of your peak so you won't lose your point when you're sewing your houses together. Okay, so then you have a small rectangle piece that'll go at the bottom of the roof. And then you have the house sides that'll go on either side, and you'll pick a door. Here you'll notice I picked the little dog door because I have a little wiener dog. It looks just like it. So I put the little dog in there. Here's another great center with that door. Or you could do that, either one. So what you'll do is you'll sew these 3 together. I pressed my seams in towards the door. And then you'll sew this on top of this on top of this, and you've got a wonderful little house block. Now let's go to one of the trees. All right, now we're gonna make our first tree, okay? So the very top of our tree is just another flying goose unit. So we just did that in our house. So you're going to take your squares, draw on the diagonal just like we did before, flip that back, sew it, flip it back, lay this down, sew it, flip it back. And then you've got your nice little unit there. On this unit, we have little squares. And this is called snowballing. And I went ahead and drew a line on the back of my fabric again, on the back of my little squares. And we're gonna flip and turn those. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay both of these on, and I'm gonna sew them at the same time. Since they don't overlap, we can do that. Alrighty. Now, if you see here on the ironing board, these are your options on your panel, which are wonderful. You can make a little Christmas tree with ornaments on it. You can make one with lights. And then you've got your bark here on the end. It runs quite a ways, so you have quite enough to do probably most of your trees. So I thought that was such a fun idea to add that to your panel. We're going to press these back. Now we're going to trim those. And if you look, this is why you don't want to use Sharpie because you can see it on this side, and this is just a sample and it's fine. But that's why you don't want to use something that'll show through the front of your fabric, okay? Now, even I think these might be a little too small to save. I'd probably throw those out. So there's my second unit on my tree. The bottom unit is sewing the other two squares together, and I cut my little rectangle out of my bark. And I'll sew these three together, press in towards the trunk, add this unit next, and add the top unit next, and you have a beautiful little tree. Let's go to the next tree. All right, so now we're ready for the next tree. This one's really easy because you already know how to snowball. Okay, so you have your square of, this is just a square. Let me grab the square for you. You're starting with a square of tree fabric, okay? And then you're going to snowball all four sides of that tree and flip and turn them back, all nice and pretty, okay? And then all you have to do is piece your trunk with two background pieces on either side. You're going to sew those together, and then you've got a long strip of background, and you're going to sew that to the left side of the block, and you've got another tree. Let's go to the next one. All right, we're on our last tree block. This one is great fun. It's got this nice pointy top, so I'm going to show you how to make sure your top stays pointy. Okay, so you have another square of your tree fabric. You're going to fold that in half, and I did wrong sides together. And you're going to make a nice crease at the top, and I use my fingernail and really get it nice and pointy so I can see where that crease is, okay? Then you're going to take your first long piece of background, right sides together, and you're going to lay it so your point is sticking up past where the line is. I'm trying to line it up with that mark on the mat there. So my crease is right where this mark is on the mat, okay? So I'm going to lay it just a smidge up. And then the bottom is going to line up with the corner of your block, okay? So it's going to look like that. Now I'm going to sew 1/4 inch. All right, so we're going to bring this over and press that back real nice. Okay. Do not trim anything. Okay. Now we're going to lay the other background rectangle right sides together. We're going to have the bottom at the corner of the square, and the top one is going to be just, I'm going to line that up actually, with the edge of that white fabric there, and it's coming off that top just a little bit. We're going to sew another 1/4 inch down. What this machine's doing. All right. Now we're going to press this back again. And there is your pretty block. Okay, now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to square this up with your 4-inch square here. So just use that as a guide. Cut your corners, cut your sides off. And there is my tree. And I'm not really worried about this corner. You'll see where I didn't catch it too much. That's going to be in the seam allowance. So Don't worry about it. It's all good. So you have the top half of your tree done. Then you are going to add your trunk. I just used a regular brown here. And put some background squares on either side. Sew those together. Sew it to the top. And you are done with your tree block. Please share your projects you make with us because I would love to see all your little houses and all your little trees. We'll see you soon.